Hey, everybody, welcome. Glad to see you here. Thanks for hanging out. While we're getting started here, take a moment in the chat and I'm going to turn that on for you. Make sure everybody can hear me okay. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for being here. Morning, Mindy. Hey, Joanne. Good to see you, Jennifer. Good to see you guys here. We'll give it a moment as everybody's joining. We're getting everybody on here. Take a moment and share those wins for us. What is it that worked well over the last, let's say, 7 days? What were you able to do? What were you able to change? Were you able to update anything and move your business kind of in the right direction? Excited to hear about that. Got a few things that I want to share before we just kind of open it up for your questions. And then if you want to make sure that we get to your question, probably the best way to do that is to type it to me in the chat. We'll jump over to it as we can. So once again, welcome everybody. Glad you're here. And Jeanette, that is a step in the right direction. Thanks for sharing that. She says she hired a new admin. If you can get those folks, you get the right people on your bus, man, it turns into a really, really big deal. I was talking with somebody about this yesterday, about hiring the right people and the way that that feels. A lot of times when we hire folks, we are in a rush. We're reacting to some sort of event that happened. Either somebody quit, or we had to let somebody go, or we're starting a new program and we need somebody to come in and manage this new thing for us or teach the classes or something. And so there's always a sense of urgency to get somebody in and get them hired and get them trained. And sometimes when we have too much urgency, we make mistakes if we put ourselves up against that time wall. And so while I do think it's important to learn how to efficiently and very quickly bring on staff members, hire those staff members, and then train them and onboard, we need to learn how to do that efficiently and quickly. We kind of have that figured out. We don't want to just put somebody in, put a round peg in a square hole kind of a thing, just to temporarily fix something. That can be a bigger problem. We want to make sure that we do that effectively, we do that efficiently, and we're conscientiously making sure that we're hiring the right people. When you do that, it's so much of a difference. You'll never go back to hiring somebody that isn't hyper effective. So that's a really important piece of scaling these businesses and making them work correctly. Okay. Denise says she ripped off a Band-Aid. Denise, anything more you want to share on that? Interested to hear what that change was. If you're interested in sharing that with us, we'd love to hear it.
Yes, we got all of our students. Good morning. We got all of our students indoctrinated to the new culture of annual down payments.
Awesome. Wow, man. Good for you. How did it go? Survived it?
Awesome. No one said a peep. One person asked, well, why are we doing this? And we told them why it was advantageous to them. And they said, okay. And everybody else just said, okay.
That's awesome, Denise. That's a massive, massive shift. And I know how hard that is for some studios to do, for some studios to implement that, because it's such a major change in the way that you think about things. But now going forward, every single year, new students making down payments and old students making down payments. Jennifer saying, I'm wanting to do this next week. Good job, Jennifer. Good job. It's a massive difference. You think about a studio that has 300 students and they're making $200 or $300 down payments every single year. Every additional $60,000 helps. So pretty exciting, Denise, and congrats on that. That's just great. Good job. Love it. Okay, Mindy says she got 30 testimonial entries from students and parents, scheduled 10 interviews with the other selected families to meet with the professional interviewer.
We're doing it, Charles, and we're not going back now.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Good job, guys. Love it. Love it. Okay. Okay, Sarah's applied for a permit use change for the new studio. Got pushed through. They're signing off on it today. Man, I know what that bureaucracy is like. And attrition for May was only one person. Sarah, that is insane, man. With the program that you're running, that is just really, really great. And good job on that. I know how opening additional locations, I know what that bureaucracy is like. And some of those things you just kind of have to deal with that. I'm going through that myself. So I absolutely get it. Thanks everybody for sharing those wins. Would love to hear some more. If anybody else has got anything that they're almost had a heart attack. No, you got this, man. No, don't worry about it. This is awesome. You've got this. You're doing some fantastic stuff. So thank you for sharing that and for and I'm excited to see how the new place turns out. That's just really, really great. Okay. A couple other things here. I wanted to share with everybody. I've been having some conversations with some of you recently. I had a conversation with a good friend of mine who works specifically with women entrepreneurs, with female business owners, and had a conversation with some new clients she was talking to the other day. And those, in that kind of introductory call that she was doing with them, she was asking them how many of them have income from their businesses that supports their own lifestyle. And very few of them raised their hand and said that they did. And then she followed up by asking an additional question, trying to dig deeper and just asking why they thought that was. And many of them answered that it was because they had spouses that make a bunch of money and that they didn't feel like they needed to run a business that was profitable. And this kind of disturbed my friend a little bit, that they weren't concerned about running businesses that were profitable. And I was wondering if a couple of you, just as we're getting started today, so we're waiting for some other folks to join us on the call, if you wouldn't mind sharing some of the reasons that you are interested in making sure that your business is profitable and that it's sustaining your own lifestyle. If you don't mind sharing some of those ideas, I'd love to hear that and talk to you about that briefly, and mostly get your insight and your opinions about that rather than just telling you why it's important to me. I think most of you probably know that it's important to me, but why that is and what it is that makes that difference. Jennifer, I see that you've got a little opinion here. Do you mind raising your hand? I'll unmute you and we can hear you. There you are. Tell me about what your reason. Why are you trying to run a profitable place?
I mean, one day I would like to stop working.
I totally get that. I totally understand that. I go back and forth on that one. I'm not 100% sure that one day I want to start working. There may be shifts in how much I'm working and what I'm doing, but I totally get that. I'd like to be able to retire eventually as well. And yeah, that's great. Thank you for sharing that. I appreciate it. Sarah's got another opinion here. Sarah, do you mind raising your hand for me and I'll come unmute you? I'd love to hear what you have to think about that as well. Go ahead, please. Sarah, please share.
I thought about that a lot this week because I do not relate to those kind of women at all. So I'm on the other side of the fence. Like sometimes I think like a man, and I think like a man sometimes. But I was raised from to not rely on men for money, and my father pounded that into me. So I've always gone out and I started working when I was 14 for McDonald's illegally.
Yeah.
But I don't know why women think that way, but maybe it's just with the way they were brought up. So that's my only insight on that, because I can't relate to women like that. So I'm not.
I appreciate it. Well, I appreciate it. I think there is something too. I commend you, and you know this. I'm just so proud of how ambitious you are and what you're able to accomplish, and the fact that you're taking on your city and jumping through those hoops they want you to jump through to open additional locations and stuff is just awesome. So I appreciate that insight though. Thanks, Sarah. Thanks for sharing. Jennifer here has an interesting insight. Jennifer Pendergrass, do you mind raising your hand for me and I'll come unmute you? And there you are. If you're able to share, Jennifer, I don't know if you're in a place where you're able to share. You should be able to unmute yourself there now.
There you go.
Yeah. Tell me about that. Tell me about your reason for feeling that way.
Because I found over the past couple of years implementing, a lot of things that I've learned being with you and from you, that, my staff and my just, the culture of my studio is super important to me. And, if I'm not able to pull in that revenue that I need to in order to support them, then, there's nothing there for me to hold on to. And, I'm looking forward to basically training, a lot of staff, and I've been working so hard doing this, and it's very, very frustrating because I wish everyone thought like me all the time, but they don't.
Yes, I get it.
So, I've been really, really just pushing for that and training people to be me and to be successful in the business, to be able to take it to the next level. I have a manager that I've been training for about a year, and she's expressed to me that she's ready to manage her own studio, and I'm like, okay, great, let's do this. So it's important to me to make that cash, bring that cash in, to continue to level up my revenue, so this way I can pay people to do a good job and to be paid well to be doing that good job.
I love it. And thank you for sharing that. And I know that because I've talked with many of you personally on this call about this, that many people share that same sentiment, that there's this desire to be able to take care of people and to provide awesome jobs and opportunities for them, and to compensate them legitimately and fairly, and create incentives for them, and an environment for them that helps them to thrive. And profitable businesses are easier to do that with. So thank you, Jennifer. I appreciate that, that insight. I feel the same way. And that is a big piece of my answer for me personally. And sometimes some of you know this already, but I often will rephrase that kind of same question as why not less? Ask yourself the question, why not less? A lot of people out there, as you talk about entrepreneurship and scaling businesses and profitability, well, why not more? Why don't we go bigger? Why not more? I think it's a much more compelling question to ask, why not less? Why not less? And Jennifer, I think that you're hitting on one of those answers for me. Not less, because I want to provide fantastic opportunities for my staff. And so in order to do that, we need to grow this. So that's a piece of my answer as well. Thank you, Jennifer. I appreciate you sharing that. Anybody else?
Welcome. I had one other thing I was going to say that
please. Please.
A fun thing that we just started doing too is I have a monthly contest with my desk staff, and they actually make a commission off of the down payments that are collected. Yeah. So, and depending on where they come in, for there's different level of percentages that are there. So actually 1 month, because of that, we had pulled in 15 new enrollments because they were just on fire. Yeah. So
cool, man. That's awesome. It's really fun. I did that a number of years ago too. We had a little contest, and we'd give an incentive based on the number of people that we enrolled. And eventually what happened, Jennifer, I think it's a great idea. It's fun. If you want to do that, it's fantastic. But my staff came to me, and they kind of started doing the math, and they were like, hey, this bonus is pretty consistent every month. Can we just have this bonus and not have to track this anymore? And I was like, yeah, sure. And so that's what we do now. Oh, okay. Because we know how consistent we are. I'm not giving that as advice. I'm just sharing. That's what eventually happened with me, was that they became very consistent in how many people they were enrolling and doing it very well. And we just gave them all a raise and stopped tracking it after a while because they became so good at it. So hopefully that's what happened. Great. To you too. Yeah.
That makes perfect sense. Thanks.
Yep. Love it. No, thanks for sharing. Cool, man. Awesome, guys. Thank you for sharing that. I appreciate that. Anybody else have another answer? Maybe a different answer is to answer the question, why not less? Or in other words, why is it important for you to be running a business that is growing and scaling and that is profitable? Why is that important to you? What is it about that makes a difference? Denise, I love this answer. I know you and I have kind of talked about this before, but if you wouldn't mind sharing this idea with the other folks on this call, do you mind sharing what you just typed in the chat there?
Yes, I want my business to continue. And I happen to have family members that want to grow into the business, and I have to make that something that they actually want to do. So if it's not a profitable business, I don't know how it would continue on if it's personality driven and not profit driven.
Here's the sad piece that I see of this all the time. As a matter of fact, we've been running some very specific lead magnets for this business. Matter of fact, this call is one of them, but we've been driving people into the little free Facebook group that we have. We ask them a few questions as they come in, and a number of the people that joined that group over the last week or two are legacy studio owners. So the studio has been in business for much longer than this particular person has owned it. But then these folks are struggling very much with keeping the business. I mean, these businesses have been around for 40 years. This person has owned it for the last 5 or 10. You know, that's happened a number of times in the context we've made in the last couple of weeks. And the business is still not doing well. So I guess where I'm going with that is that it's not just the idea that I want them to want to take the business, but I don't want to leave a burden for
Right.
whoever is taking over this business next, whether it's one of my own children, and both of my children work at my studios, but whether it's one of them or it's somebody else, I don't want to leave a burden as my legacy, right? I want
Right.
to leave something beneficial. Love it. Yeah. Denise,
Exactly.
Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that. I think that's a big one. Yeah, Mindy, do you mind, or actually Sarah, let's go there and then we'll come to you. I don't know if Mindy's able to chat right now. Sarah, do you mind sharing what you typed into the chat about being able to afford? Please, love it. Love
The
that.
first, to be able to afford to make mistakes.
Oh yeah, tell me about that. I think that's absolutely brilliant.
Well, as a business owner, you're always taking a risk and you're never sure if you're making the right decision. And if you have enough money to make a mistake, then you can do that. Like, for example, I just spent $12,000 on the floor and I'm not sure it's the right floor.
Yeah, and you can afford that. And that's a horrible thing if it's not
It's
the
a
right
horrible
It's important.
thing, but I
But
was
it's
like,
not
well,
devastating for
push
you.
comes to shove, I can replace it.
I know. And I was looking at this. I was looking at this last year. Like, I made some financial mistakes last year. I say mistakes because my personality, and I know yours is the same way, is such that I'm going to learn and get educated from it. So nothing's purely a mistake for me anymore. But I made financial mistakes this last year that were bigger than what I used to earn in a year.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it's not devastating to my family. They're not going to go hungry because I made the mistake that I made. I love that answer. I just know I'm going to continue to make some mistakes,
Mm-hmm.
and I want to be able to afford to do that. So that is a fantastic one. That's a great one. Tell me about your next one here, to be able to expand. Talk about that one for a second.
Well, as an entrepreneur, I mean, for me, when I drive down the road and I see empty spaces, I'm always thinking about what can go in there. What should be put in that space?
Yeah.
And, as I get older as a dancer, I know I'm not going to be dancing all the time, but I'm like, well, what can I do with this extra money and the knowledge I have? So that, so like we're expanding with our business, our skirt line, and, maybe a dancewear line, because there's a real demand for flamenco skirts.
It's awesome.
Being a role model for younger girls, because I think we talked about this on Sherry's call. Like, Oprah's a role model for me, but like beyond that, there's not many other. Like, I always tell myself, well, if Oprah can do it, I can do it too. Oprah's got and all so many pots. And then we've talked about this before too, that be an example for other artists, that we don't have to starve to be artists.
It's something interesting about that artistic community that like aspires for just personal validation. They aspire for martyrdom. Somehow there's like this cultural thing where they have perceived value in that. And I much would rather choose your route that you're saying, where I can be an inspiration to these people rather than a justification for their own lack of influence. And that's the role that I choose. I think we inherit with the choice to run instructional studios a responsibility to have an impact on more people. And so that's another piece of my answer to why not less, is because I just believe in what we do. And I think it's a tragedy if somebody slips through my fingers that I'm not allowed to now have influence on, or not capable of it, because I didn't do what I could have done to, influence more people in my community. So love that, Sarah. Thank you. Love that you guys are being that and that you care about that. That's just awesome. Thank you. Yeah, another one here, Mindy. I don't know if you're able to share yet. I think Mindy might not have access to her mic right now or something, but she types in the chat, you never know what curveball life is going to throw at you. COVID is a great example of that. I know a number of you other folks on the call that we've talked about this before. My own wife going through what she went through, and you just simply don't have control over everything, and putting in yourself in a position where the business is capable of being profitable. And I'd go even farther to say that you have a team in place that allows you to step away if you need to, is something that we mitigate risk by doing that. And yeah, Mindy sharing here peace of mind. I agree as well. Not because bad stuff always is going to happen, but that you just simply don't have to worry about that. Not for the sake of the business itself, but yes, love it. Thank you guys so much. Appreciate you sharing that. Appreciate that a lot. There was another thing that I wanted to talk about with everybody just before we kind of jump into the questions, if you have them today. And like I said, if you have questions, please type them in the chat and we can get to them here, and we'll kind of navigate through those as we move through this. But I wanted to share something else that has also come up a number of times. And I know that you guys are probably just as aware of this as I am, and maybe some of you struggle with this issue. But I see people online all the time complaining about students and complaining about parents and the interactions, and hey, I don't know what to do about this, and I need to, get rid of this student, or maybe they haven't figured out that that's what they need to do, but it's what they need to do, and they're not sure how to go about that, how to navigate that. And I think a big piece of the solution to those problems lies A, in the profitability of your studio, believe it or not, and B, in the way that you attract and onboard new students. And if we can get those two things dialed in, the problems that we have with parents and problem students and those kind of things don't completely disappear, but they decrease by 90-something% for sure. Let me tell you what I mean by that. First of all, you can sense a little bit. I can sense when I'm talking to a studio owner, I'm reading something they wrote online complaining about a parent or a student, that they are worried about the financial impact of letting that student go, that they simply can't afford to fire a student if they need to, or fire a parent if they need to do that. And that there's some financial fear in surrounding that. And while I totally understand that, I do not personally want to be in that decision. I don't want to be in that position where I have to make the decision of whether or not I, have a student relationship with somebody based on the finances, based on the amount of money that they are willing to pay me to come to class. I do not want that to be the reason that we make that decision. Somebody said it earlier, I'm not sure who it was, but talking about, I think it may have been Jennifer, talking about defending their culture, that this is a massive piece of, as your business grows and becomes more successful as a studio owner, of what you do for a living, is you need to be able to defend that culture. I don't want to have to make cultural decisions about my studio based on financial motivations. I want to do it because I think it's the right thing to do. And I want to be in a position where I can make those decisions. Okay. So that's piece number one. And piece number two of this is how you attract and onboard the new students themselves. You can solve a lot of these future problems. Sometimes we say, front door solutions to backdoor problems on the front end. And a good example of that is the prospect pipeline that most of you probably are familiar with. This idea that, let me back up again here for a second. The types of students that I want to work with and the relationship that I want to have with the students at my studio, that I want my staff to have with the students of my studio, is I want them to be friendly. I want these people to be conversational and willing to talk. And I want them to look to my staff and me for authoritative decision-making, right? I want them to look to us as leaders. I don't want them walking in and making demands and bossing us around. We know what we're doing, and we know what we're talking about, and we want people that look to us in that way. So we attract people that way, rather than what most studios are doing that accomplishes the opposite result. So I want to know, is this person willing to talk to me when they're first coming in and deciding whether or not they're going to take classes at our studio? Are they willing to have a conversation? Are they willing to talk? Are they willing to take our advice on what we think they should be doing? And if they do, and they are, and we bring them in and they look to us as kind of the doctor that's prescribing a solution to their problem, then we tend to continue to have that kind of relationship with them, right? And so if we can start off that way and we can onboard these people with that in mind, that's kind of the filter. I don't want to have to make myself and my business so attractive that everybody's going to want to come in and work with us just because we're simply the most attractive thing out there. I want the filter to go the other way. I want my staff and I to be able to make decisions on the kinds of people that we want to look for, that we want to work with. And I want to be selective in that process. I want to be the one that goes in and chooses the kinds of people that we're working for. It's a very, very powerful position to be in. And then I don't end up working with people that I don't want to work with. We treat this business, this consulting business, the same way. Let's have conversations and let's talk. And if you're friendly and conversive, then we can probably figure out if this will make sense to work together or not, right? But what are most studios doing? There a lot of them, a lot of your competitors are trying to drive people to a website where they automatically make their own decisions and choose from a smorgasbord of classes, and nobody ever has to talk to anybody. And then we end up signing up students that we've never had any contact with, if that process works at all, which usually doesn't work as well. And instead, if we stick human beings back in that process, if we create those conversations and we check people for friendliness and we establish ourselves as authorities that can help them make these decisions on what they should enroll in, that's just simply a much more powerful place for us to be. And that's the big reason that we recommend, one of the big reasons that we recommend that you use a prospect pipeline, that you're navigating with these people, you're hand-holding them through the enrollment process, rather than just simply expecting them to do that themselves without ever talking to an actual human being. I think that's a much better way to be attracting and then selecting the kinds of people that you want to be working with personally, okay? Even though it is a little more work, it absolutely is, and it absolutely works better, and it solves a lot of these backdoor problems. Cool. Fantastic. Okay, let's get to the kind of Q&A portion here. If you folks have questions, like I said, go ahead, please start typing those questions in and we can hop around and answer those questions. Cindy, I love your question here. Don't ever apologize for showing up and asking questions. Cindy, are you in a place where you can unmute yourself? Happy to help with that.
Yes, I am.
Yeah, please go ahead. I know you typed it into the chat. Do you mind just kind of verbalizing it so we have your question for the recording? That'd be helpful.
Well, we've chatted in the past, and
Yeah.
there are things that just all of your information has always been so helpful, and any interaction that I've had has, and the things that I've implemented have been helpful. But I've heard this discussion about the down payment, the annual down payment, and just really need to understand that piece of where we're at. We're in our 6th year. We took on additional space last year. We were landlocked. Financially, things are not good. We continue to sign people up, but never seems to be enough.
Yeah, I think the down payment is one of the solutions to that problem. And this is a fantastic question. I know that this concept that we have of doing some kind of a down payment is like really different from a way that everybody else is running their programs. And that is by design for a couple of things. So we use, first of all, the term down payment for a couple of reasons. One is because that's actually what it is. So the first reason is because when we are selling something to our students, the shift that I want everybody to kind of make is that I'm not selling individual classes. I'm selling a program of some kind. And so they're coming in and they're taking, a little 2-year-old is coming in and doing a preschool class, and it's, once a week and it's for 6 months or whatever it is, right? But they're not purchasing an individual class. They're purchasing some kind of program that they're enrolling in. And that program has a cost associated with it. And when they enroll in that program, they make a down payment on the total cost of that program. So just to make the numbers easy, let's say that you have some kind of a program that you're signing kids up into, and it's $2,000 a year. And so a down payment on that, if they make a 10% down payment on that, it'd be a $200 down payment. And then the $1,800 that's left over, you would divide up into payments over the length of the program. If it was a 12-month program, I think it comes out to just just over $149 a month or something like that. That would be what they were paying per month. But what they're doing, they're not really paying for that month of classes. They're purchasing the program, and the down payment happens because they're buying, they're just like you would buy a car. The more you put down on the front end, that has an impact on what your monthly payment is. Does that make sense, Cindy?
Yes, it does.
Now that's kind of the concept and kind of the idea. Another piece behind it is that registration fees for me never made sense. It's like, you know, I know everybody has this kind of canned response. Well, what's the registration fee for? Well, it covers our administrative costs. Well, why doesn't the tuition just cover your administration costs? You know, it's like, it doesn't really make a lot of sense to it. And it sort of feels, it always felt to me, the registration fee a little bit like kind of nickeling and diming, you know, folks as they're coming through your program. It's just an extra thing we can charge. But the down payment doesn't work that way. Somebody could pay in full. They could, you know, you can give them a little discount for buying the program in full up front, and they pay you $2,000, and then they don't have any monthly tuition at all. If somebody decides, hey, we just got our tax return and we're going to come in and we're going to put $500 down on this program, their monthly tuition might be a little bit different, but they're basically financing it out. Does that make sense?
It does. So we've had a lot, well, since COVID, obviously culture has changed a lot, and definitely having more exits at this time of year than I think we've ever had before.
Yeah.
I've always said, you know, we don't give refunds on tuition or anything like that. So what's paid is paid. But how does, you know, if someone leaves because they want to or because they move or whatever, how does that affect the balance on how do you handle that?
Sure. Yeah. So that's part of the value, I think, in running your program this way, is that if, you know, first and foremost, the way my attitude towards this, and I know there's people that disagree with me, and I think it's fine. You should match this thing I'm about to say to your own personality. I don't think there's a right or wrong way to do this. But if you don't like me and my face in my studio, I don't want you to feel like you are forced to continue to train with us because there's some kind of contract. You know, I'm not a cell phone company or a gym.
Sure.
I'm not going to make it hard for you to quit at all. And so if somebody comes to me and they're like, hey, listen, we signed up for this 3 months ago and we just really don't like your face anymore. Okay, cool, man. I'm just good enough at bringing somebody else in. I'll bring in somebody else with a new down payment, paying the new higher tuition rate and replace that spot. It's fine, right?
Okay.
So that's my attitude. But I do have plenty of friends who run studios with these down payments and self programs, and they're like, they hold people to the agreements that they signed. I don't personally do that, but I don't think either one of those is wrong. If somebody says I'm going to buy this, you know, I'm going to go buy a car and this car is $30,000 and I make a down payment on it, and suddenly 6 months in, I don't like the car anymore. It's my responsibility to go sell that car and figure out what to do about
Correct.
it, not the dealership's responsibility. So I understand where they're coming from. I just don't handle it that way.
Okay.
But one of the benefits of this is that the person has now front loaded their
Mhm.
tuition a little bit. So, you know, you think about somebody who's paying $180 a month for a program and put $299 on the front end, put it down. And then 3 months into it, they make this decision to not train with you anymore for whatever, that just happens sometimes. So for whatever reason, you made now $299 more than you would have had they not made that down payment on the front end and just were paying a monthly tuition. So that's one of the reasons that I think there's a benefit here.
Okay.
How do we handle it was actually your question. I know that wasn't what I just answered. It wasn't actually your question, but how do we handle it? They understand, and everybody understands up front, that they are not purchasing classes, they are purchasing a program. And so when they decide that they don't want to continue making the payments on that program, I am doing them a favor by letting them out of that,
Okay.
rather than them just not paying for something that they aren't consuming. Does that make sense?
Yes,
Now,
absolutely.
That's the theory behind it. Here's the practical answer to that question. The practical answer is when you first enroll the person, I don't enroll the person like this. Hey, Cindy, it's $299 down and $199 a month for this program. And if you want to quit, just let me know and you can quit at any time. I don't say that on the front end. That's what actually happens on the back end. If they don't like my face and, you know, they don't want to hang out with me, I don't want to hang out with them. I don't want them as clients. I'm going to replace them with somebody who does feel that way. Okay. But I don't say that on the front end. And so what that allows me to do is sign them up for this, let's say hypothetically a 12-month program. They're enrolled in going through that 12-month program. And then when they come to me 6 months later and say, hey, we're moving to San Francisco, or Mago, I don't like your face anymore. I don't want to do this anymore, or whatever. I'm able to say this. And here's what I want you to memorize, this phrase. Cindy, I can convert your 12-month agreement to 30 days notice if you'd like. So now your last payment is due, and then I read out when the next 30-day payment is made. And now not only have I allowed them, I've done them a favor, allowing them to get out of their 12-month agreement. I haven't been pretentious or passive aggressive in reminding them of that they made that agreement. I'm doing them a favor. I already have their down payment, and they're grateful for me for charging them one more month of tuition, because it allows them to convert their 12-month agreement into an ongoing 30 days notice agreement.
Okay, so say that phrase
Yep.
again. I got half of it down. I can convert.
Yeah,
your
say,
12-month
hey,
program.
Cindy, that's no problem. If you'd like, I can convert your 12-month agreement to a 30 days notice. So your last payment will be due on, and then I look at when their next payment is due and we charge them another payment.
Got it.
Totally
Perfect.
works. Yeah, totally works. But a big piece of this, once again, is how you enroll them on the front end. If there's this clear understanding that they're signing up for a program and not just, hey, I'm going to take this class until soccer season comes around. If there's that clear understanding, this is trivial. It's very easy to do and it works exceptionally well.
Great. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you bet, man. Yeah, this is a game changer. And then you create that culture. And this is what Denise was talking about earlier, is that once you have this culture in place where I'm buying programs, I'm not taking classes, every single year, when you do what we call our mass upgrade event, Denise is now, from all of her students, taking new down payments and charging higher tuition rates as they move into higher classes, and they have a system in place to do that. And it's this massively, massively profitable thing. And people are grateful for having you do it that way, right? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Cool, man. That's awesome. Good question. Thank you. Mindy has a question here. Mindy, I don't know if you're able to unmute yourself yet. If you are, you're welcome to raise your hand and I'll come around and unmute you. Let's see where you at there. I see a hand up. Hang on just a second. I'm trying to navigate all my names on Zoom. When you raise your hand, it moves you in my order there. Mindy, welcome. We're glad you're here, man.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, 100%. Thanks.
Cool. Sorry, I didn't see the unmute button and didn't realize I needed to raise my hand to talk. So
Oh, no, you don't.
Thanks
Yeah,
for
this
explaining
call
that.
I've
Sorry
got
about
set up so that not everybody can just unmute themselves. We got some hoodlums on this call that I don't trust. So, not all of them are as cool as you, Mindy.
Okay. Oh my
Go
gosh.
ahead.
Yeah, well, you were speaking about the converting to 30 days. But just to kind of piggyback on that, I just had put in there, what if somebody isn't necessarily just continuing like forever? They're just going to be out for a period of time due to, traveling out of the country or whatever it is, but they are planning to return. Can you just talk about how you handle that?
Yeah, sure. Happens all the time. And we have literally tested everything we can possibly think of at our studios. We've said, if you pay $25 a month, you can hold your spot. We've done, all kinds of things. We've just said, no, that's not something we do. And if you come back, you have to do this. Where we're kind of at right now that seems to be working the best for us is that people understand that if they want to take a break, that's fine, but that we can't guarantee that we'll have the same spot available for them when they come back. And frankly, Mindy, with you and how many individual private lessons and things you guys do, that's a fairly valuable proposition. So if somebody's just, going to stay with their dad in San Francisco over the summer and they're moving out of the area or something like that, but they're going to be back in just a month or something, there are many people who will make the decision to just stay enrolled because they want to guarantee that they have the same spot when they come back.
Yeah, that's exactly what we do. I just figured I'd see if there were any other ideas out there, but
we have tons of
Yeah.
ideas. And if ideas is what you want, I'm happy to throw them at you. The one other piece of that I would add is that if it turns out to be a break for more than 3 months, if it's I guess we spin it the other way. If it's less than 3 months, hey, if you come back in less than 3 months, you don't have to pay an additional down payment. And so there's
yeah,
a
we
bit
do.
of a-
We do. If they're out for 4 to 8 weeks with consecutive weeks, we're open.
Mhm.
then they have to re-enroll.
Yep.
So the break time we take during the year doesn't count in the break that they are on. So we're basically doing that, but I just was wondering if anybody else did anything different, just out of curiosity, but because we're on the topic, so.
Yeah,
But yeah,
happy to
that's-
ask if anybody else is doing something significant that seems to be working for them different than that. Like I said, we've literally tested everything, and what works the best is kind of that 1-2 punch. One is we can't guarantee that your spot's going to be there when you come back. If you'd like to stay enrolled, then we can guarantee you that it will be because you still have it. And 2 is if it's more than 3 months, we phrase it this way, if it's less than 3 months that you're going to be gone, you don't have to, Mindy, you don't have to make another down payment. And then if it turns out to be longer than that, they're happy and open and recognize very clear that they're going to be making an additional down payment when they come back. Anybody else have anything that works better than that? That is a very profitable way to do that. And I think very fair and justifiable. So we have tried everything. Like I said, we've tried, hey, pay this much a month. And then when you come back, we guarantee your spot, but we're too good at enrolling students. So it's generally not beneficial to us if we do those kinds of things. I don't see anybody jumping at another opportunity here, but please, if you have other insights or ways that you're handling that, happy to have that conversation. Okay. Couple of other good questions coming in here. Jennifer talking about your mass upgrade. You sent out little vouchers for the down payment. Themed giveaways, great. If all your current students pay their discounted down payment, we'll have $11,000 coming in. That's just in down payments. And that's not including additional tuition and higher tuition rates for people that are moving up. Yeah, sure. Jennifer, I'm happy to chat with you about that question. Can you unmute yourself there and kind of rephrase your question about the upgrade?
Hi. Yeah, so it wasn't really a question. It was just like the longest statement ever. So sorry.
Well, you say any tips on, and you're talking about converting students from 1 time a week to 2 times a week?
Yes, I think that's my biggest concern, along with our graduating seniors. It's my first year to have graduating seniors. So I'm just nervous about, those 6 leaving. We have several who just take once a week, and we've talked about the benefits of coming twice a week for our fundamentals program, and just getting those sold has been an issue.
Yeah.
For me personally, because I'm the one flapping my lips. So
yeah, sure. No problem. No problem. So this is going to sound like I'm kind of being passive aggressive here. I promise I'm not, but I just want to make the statement. The best way to do it is to not lie to anybody. Let me explain what I mean. Hey, Jennifer, why would it be better for my 8-year-old daughter who loves dance to take 2 classes a week instead of 1? Just honestly answer that question for me.
she's going to reach her goals faster, and she'll be able to progress more quickly.
That sounds really great. That sounds awesome. Let's do it.
I think so too, right?
Yeah. And then, like, if you genuinely, I think a lot of business owners make this mistake. I don't think it's just dance studio owners, but we sometimes forget to empathize with the prospect, with the prospective person that's going to sign up for whatever offer we're making to them. And if you're enthusiastic about this and you genuinely believe that coming twice a week is better than coming just 1 time a week, people are going to do what you say, man. And they're going to listen to you. And especially if what I was talking about beforehand on the enrollment process, if they're conversational, if they're friendly, and if they look at you as an authority figure and helping them to navigate this, they will do what it is that is best for them. My daughter in gymnastics, I think I've shared this a number of times, had this new higher level that she'd been aspiring to get into, and finally went to the tryout and made it into this new thing. And it's more expensive and it's more hours. And do you think I even considered those things when considering whether or not to let my daughter move to this next level? Well, no, because it was something that she's aspirational about, that I know is good for her, and that I trust is going to be better than keeping her staying where she's at. That's it. That's all I needed to know. Right.
Okay.
And so that's what you need to do as well, is just genuinely to yourself. And if it's not true that 2 times a week classes and whatever you do is better, then don't sell them that. But it almost always is. And you sounded very convincing to me when you said those things. Say it the same way to them, and teach your staff to stand on that value as well. And it's just going to work. Yeah, it's just going to work. And it's like, congratulations, Jennifer. I'm so proud of you you now qualify for this new program. It's the Jennifer 360 program. It meets twice a week. It's Tuesdays and Thursdays at this time, or Mondays and Wednesdays at this time. Which one of those works best for you? That's the spin. There's nothing dishonest or what magic words can I use? Let's just be honest with them, and they'll do it if you enroll them the right way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I would say that's the biggest thing. Yeah. Good though. Thank you for sharing that. And yeah, here's the other thing. You made a comment. You didn't ask this question, but I wanted to comment on this, Jennifer, if you're okay. You have 6 seniors leaving this year. What are those seniors paying per month in tuition right now?
Some of them are company members, so they're paying $375 a month, and others are more in like the $260 range because they're taking 3 classes a week.
If you structure your down payments correctly, you could literally replace the income from those 6 seniors just in the down payments you collect when you do this mass upgrade.
Okay.
Does that make sense? I mean,
Yes.
it's literally the same thing. And then this time of year, I've shared, for those of you in the future watching this, most studios right now are finishing up recitals and getting ready for summer, and they lose a bunch of enrollment. What we happen to know is that there are more people at this time of year than any other time of year looking to get started, not in summer camps, but in ongoing 12-month programs. This is the time of year that most people are looking for that. And so if you'll double down on that with the down payments of the new students that you can enroll in just the next 30 days, just in down payments, you could replace the income of those 6 seniors that you're losing this year.
Okay.
Very realistic goal. And then hopefully you've got some folks to move up into that level pretty quickly, and you're going to replace it with that anyway. So that's exciting. Great time of year to be doing that.
Thank you.
Yeah, you bet. Good job. Thanks for sharing. Good stuff. Sherry had a question here. Talk about upgrading into higher, more expensive levels. Sherry, are you in a place where you're able to unmute yourself? You can raise your hand and I'll come around. If not, I can do my best to kind of just wing and answer that. But tell us what's going on. Tell us what you're thinking, and happy to help with that.
Hi, Margot. Nice to see you again.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, I'm just thrilled. Like I said, the strategy that $1 Million Studio has embedded. I just encourage people to give themselves a minute and time to practice, because I have grown so much since last July, coming out to Colorado and practicing with you and Nicole, and it has made a huge difference. But now I'm at a point where, again, this will be my second, upgrade, and I want to do better, and I want to sell them in a higher level, more expensive program, because now I will be going up in price. I feel more confident than I did before, and that is all the difference. But if you could talk a little bit about that, talk about the verbiage and what you say when they come in for the kickoff. I have a syllabus exam where we hand out trophies, etc. And I have just given out all of their evaluation and give them, quote, the prescription for a better experience for the kids, like what you just spoke about.
Yep.
But if you could just talk about what to say when we sit down with that new parent, giving them a higher level, more expensive program. Can you do that a little bit?
Yeah, Sherry, for you guys that are kind of newer at this, I think you've done 90% of what I think is most important to do. And those evaluation forms that we have, right? And you have, I think, your own version of that. That at that time of year, right before the recital, right after the recital, whenever you decide fits in your schedule better, you're doing some evaluations with the students. Now, remember a second ago, I was talking about when you bring them on, I want them looking to you for authority. I want them looking to you for advice. I don't want people going, well, here we have this smorgasbord of classes, and you could just choose whatever you want, whatever's best for you. As beginners, they generally don't know. Now, Sherry, this isn't your problem. I know you already have this solved. This is for the benefit of the folks that may be hearing this for the first time. But that difference right there, if you can create that culture in your studio, where they are constantly looking to you for, okay, Sherry, thanks. You fulfilled on all of your promises that you've made so far. What's next? And they're coming to you with that. That's the culture we want, right? That's the culture we want. And then as long as we're just honest with these people, the huge majority of them are just going to do exactly what it is that we say for them to do. So you've already solved 90% of how we make all this stuff work. And those evaluation forms, honestly, if you're looking for the verbiage, it literally, as simple as you can. We have the tendency, I make this mistake all the time. Like we have the tendency to overshare and give more information, thinking that what people need is more information in order to make good decisions. They don't. We all of us, you, me, everybody, we make emotional decisions, and then we use information to justify the decision that we already made. Okay. So giving people more information oftentimes is a mistake. Giving them more information before they make the decision is oftentimes a mistake, because it opens up opportunities for them to talk themselves out of something. It's like, oh, wait, they close when it snows outside. Okay, well, let me think about this now, because I didn't know that was gonna, you know what I'm saying? Like we share all our policies and everything on our homepage or whatever, and on our website, and that's not sales copy. That's not emotionally compelling stuff. So simple as we possibly can. But here's what I would do. You have here's how we do it at my studio. 15 minutes of class. They're doing evaluations, handing out the little ribbon ranks that we use, and giving these sheets. I think you have a version of that says, hey, Sally did great at this. Here's what we need to work on next. And here's what we're recommending that she enrolls in for the new season kickoff, right? And there's a recommendation on that sheet. And then, okay, everybody, if you go talk to Miss Sherry or to Miss Anna or whoever is sitting at the enrollment station, if you go talk to them, we'll get you enrolled, and you get this cool bag with our logo on it. If you enroll today, you can enroll at any time, but there's this incentive to do that right there. Then they walk up to Miss Anna and they have this sheet of paper, and on it says, you should sign up for level 3 classes. And Anna takes that paper and goes, oh, level 3. Okay, fantastic. Sherry, great job. You qualified for level 3. So level 3 meets on these days, and that'll be this much. How would you like to make that down payment? I'll put it on my card. Okay, cool. Fantastic. And that's literally the way 90% of them should go.
Great. I understand.
That handoff is the teacher saying, this is what the student should do. And then Miss Anna or Miss Sherry or whoever's at the front desk or the enrollment station, however you're handling your mass upgrade, like they just do what hey, the teacher says you should do this. Let's do this. Okay, cool. We'll do that.
Great. All right. And the price difference, I'm having a tough time between, we send out anniversary letters. Thanks for being with us. Now it's time for a rollover registration for each month, because we have moved to a year-round program.
Oh, sure.
Okay.
I'm so proud
And
of you.
now this thing is now something that's more complicated, because if they just rolled over, now I'm saying, okay, now we're going to move you up. I'm just trying to, you understand what I'm saying? I'm just trying to make sure that the office is running clear. And that's why I asked you for the verbiage. That was very helpful. I can just separate things and make sure they move up into a higher level, which may be or may not be more expensive depending on where they move to or what they do.
Usually it should, if they're moving up. Now, if they're just staying kind of in the same class, then we have some other strategies, right? They'll make a new down payment, but usually the tuition is bumped up a little bit that year or something, but it's not a significant bump. But from level 2 class to level 3 class, the one mistake that I see people make that I don't want anybody here to make anymore is I need everybody to understand that there is more value in a higher level class, even if the hours of class are the same. And so you think about like a master's degree versus an associate's degree. You may spend the same number of hours in class every single week, but one of those is more expensive than the other. And part of the reason is because part of what you are selling is exclusivity. There is value in not having to be in class with beginners. Beginners are great human beings, and they can hold us back if they are our peer group, right? And so there's a certain value in the exclusivity, which is part of what you're selling with that. If you will take everybody on this call, I guarantee you at some point, if you've been teaching for a while, has had this experience where there's somebody who's not quite ready to move from level 1 to level 2 or level 2 to level 3. And we just give a little bit of faith and we push them into level 3, and all of a sudden it makes all the difference in the world. And part of that reason is because their environment has changed. Well, that environment is now more valuable. There's more value in that environment. And so it should be more expensive, even though it's the same number of hours.
That is great right there. I think we need to talk more about that, because just getting that verbiage, that is a light bulb, because you're right. Taking a class with a beginner is very different than taking a class with advanced dancers. And to be able to explain that to a parent when we have spoken with them
Sure.
2 to 3 years, that's a
Sure.
great.
Imagine the difference in value in you teaching a 1-hour ballet class and me teaching a 1-hour ballet class.
Right.
I've never
Right.
taken a ballet class in my life. I don't know if some of you guys didn't realize that. I haven't. Like, there's more value in your class. They're both an hour long. One of those is going to be more valuable than the other. It's not time. You do not sell time.
Yes.
That is not what you sell. That is not where value comes from. Sherry, imagine this. If I could reach through the screen and touch you on the forehead and magically you knew everything you needed to do, had all the courage you needed to, had all the verbiage you needed to be running a 7-figure studio, would that be not more valuable than you having to show up to Zoom calls and listening to me rant?
Yes. Yes.
That's less time,
Wow.
more valuable.
Got it.
Okay. Now I'm gonna take this one step further. I'm gonna beat up on you a little bit here. How many people on this call have been working with us in our programs for more than a year, let's say, and have raised their tuition, let's say, more than a year, and have raised their tuition more than one time? How many people on this call? Christina says yes. Mindy, yes. Denise, yes. Anjanette, yes. Okay. Several people are in the same boat that you're in. Sarah says yes, yes, yes. She says it 3 times. Okay.
Okay, guys,
But-
that's it. That's it. All right. I'm doing it.
The point is that if I just come to you and say, Sherry, here's how much you should charge for your tuition, and this is it, and I'm making an authoritative statement like that, the chances of you doing it are very small. So instead, what I recommend that we do is we take the training wheels off. It means we have to put the training wheels on first. And so when you say, how much should I bump as they're moving through these upgrades? I think the best answer I can give you is, what number can you look at yourself in the mirror and say out loud and not laugh? What's that number? Because you said it yourself earlier, I'm more confident this time around than I was last time.
Mhm.
And I said to Jennifer earlier that sales is this transfer of enthusiasm. If you're not lying and you're enthusiastic about this, a huge majority of people are just going to go along with what you say. And so if your enthusiasm and your courage has gone up this year, your tuition rates probably should as well. Independent of what I know your market is capable of bearing, we could figure that out mathematically. What Sherry believes is the linchpin there. And so what we do is we watch how many people say yes. And I want you to share that with me. When you do this mass upgrade, how many people say yes? And if too many people say yes, that means next time we got to raise your tuition.
I see.
That makes sense?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
want people to be stepping outside of their comfort zone. I'm going to ask you, Sherry, to make big commitments. You know, I already have done that. I'm going to ask Anjanette to do that. I'm going to ask Ann to do that. I'm going to ask all the people on this call to make large commitments. I'm also going to ask my students to make large commitments. And I just think that's where massive improvement, massive personal development comes from, is committing to things and then having other people that I surround myself with, that I care what they think of me, helping me to remain accountable to those things.
So the students that are already there, that are registering, when you go up on their tuition, you know, that they're in the same place, they're not being moved up to another more significant level. They're just, what's the verbiage when you send out that little note that says tuition has been raised? I mean, I don't have a problem with getting it from.
So let's just have a
company.
hypothetical scenario here, that you're gonna get super brave and you're gonna raise your tuition, just hypothetical scenario, from $199 to $250.
Mhm.
What I would do with the people who are currently in the $199 a month program that are not going to move to another program, they're going to stay there, but that tuition is jumping, is I would let them know. We always let them know what the tuition is jumping to, but then we make them a little deal where they get a little bit of a little bit of a benefit. We grandfather them in, not completely where they were, but a little bit. We charge them a little bit less, but we let them know what everybody else has to pay for it. So we say, hey, Sherry, any new students that are coming into this program, it's going to be $250 a month. But Sherry, we recognize you as a fantastic student. We love you. So we're not actually going to bump your tuition that high. We're going to lock you in at $225. And as long as you stay enrolled, we're going to honor that for as long as you're in this program. And then next month, when they're ready to move to level 3, their tuition goes up to whatever the next thing is.
I see. Great.
And that allows you to be, once again, hey, you're doing great. And thank you, genuinely thank you for being loyal to this program. Here's what I'm going to do for you because of that. And it's just honest. I'm not lying. That really is what I'm doing.
Right. Benevolent.
And if
That's great.
somebody in off the street that I've never met wants to come in, how much is the program? Well, it's $250 a month. We'd love to have you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
100% honest.
It's awesome. Great. Thank you so much, Margot.
Yeah. Awesome stuff, Sherry. Sarah typed something in here. I'm trying to keep up with the chats here. Sarah, you typed something in here really insightful. Do you mind just saying it out loud so we have it on the recording, Sarah, about every time you hear what everybody else is doing? I'd like to share a point on that. If you're not able to unmute yourself, raise your hand and I'll come around, Sarah, if you're able to. Maybe Sarah is not able to unmute herself. Let me just read. She says, every time I hear how much everyone else in the program, Sarah's in our mastermind, is raising their prices, I realize I can charge more. I've been bothering my wife with this topic lately, but there's this movement that I see, especially on social media, where the idea is, oh, you shouldn't care what anybody else thinks of you. I actually vehemently disagree with that. I think there are people out there and you shouldn't care what they think of you. And I think there's other people and you should care what they think of you, right? And so finding ways to change your environment and put yourself in environments of positive peer pressure. I mean, come on, man, that's what we try and do for our children. Why would we not do that for ourselves? I care what Sarah thinks about me. I care what Sarah thinks about my tuition rates. I care what Sarah thinks about my enrollment strategies, right? And that's why I hang out with Sarah, is because I know she cares about those things. And because I know she cares about those things, that has a little piece of influence on whether or not I stick to it. Because let me let you in on a little secret. I don't have a lot of discipline. And so I need to hang out with people like Sarah. And then we talk about what we're doing. And every once in a while, she's nipping at my heels. And I'm like, man, I really need to step things up. Those like, that's just the way human beings are built. That's what we need, right? In order to help us to continue to progress in the right direction. So you shouldn't care what everybody thinks of you, but you should find people who you absolutely care what they think about you. Absolutely. Fantastic. Okay, and Jennifer shares here, hey, I've got to run, but thank you so much for the info. I'm raising my tuition next week as well. Okay, so that's good. That's good. See, Sherry, you asked that question and now other people. Yeah, and Anjanette saying raising again for the third time in 9 months. Sarah saying attrition rate dropped when I raised my down payment. That is not a new insight. She's sharing something that we know is true. And I know it's scary to do this conversion to programs in 12 months and down payments and all those kind of things, but we see attrition rates plummet as people do that. It's not just profitability that goes up, but people stick around because we're asking them bravely, confidently to make larger commitments. And if you do it the right way, it works. So that's absolutely fantastic. Cool. Man, I think I got to the questions in the chat here. I hope I didn't miss anybody's question. If I did, would you please either raise your hand or type it again and share what the question is? I want to make sure that we get to everybody's questions today and that we answer as best as we can. Everything everybody has. Jennifer, please go ahead.
Hi there.
Yeah.
I was just at the beginning of the call, I was listening to Denise, and I don't know if she's still on the call or not, but I just wanted to say congratulations on converting over to that 12-month down payment. That was actually kind of the direction that I was looking at going in, when we start onboarding students, because doing the 3-part payments where, we're collecting either, the full down payment and they're getting a huge discount, or they're just going to do
Yes.
a month-to-month thing, or they're just going to do a little bit more
You're
down.
talking
and
about the
lower their
laminated
payments.
sheet that we use and that the 3 offers.
Yeah,
100%.
So
That's a
we're
great
still
way to do
going. Yeah, we're still going strong with that, but I was actually looking not so much to raise my tuitions, but just say, hey, just do a larger down payment and get rid of these, monthly payments with people, or just, I don't know, just say, hey, it's $500 towards the program or $600. And then, we're just collecting, smaller monthly fees, but
We have people in the program doing $600 down payments consistently. Yeah, for sure. Mine is $300 right now, $299. That's for the adults. That's for the school age kids. The preschool kids a little less expensive than that, but it's only a 6-month program. But it's not uncommon at all, Jennifer. We have people doing that successfully all day long. Yeah, we have.
So-
Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess my question is like, what's the indoctrination piece that would actually make a difference when I have a mom in front of me that's, saying, well, if we're ready to like push this button forward and take more of a down payment, or even say, hey, it's a 12-month program and here's what it costs and you have to pay for it now, like the whole thing.
Yeah. I'm going to step out of character a little bit here. I don't hard sell anybody into anything. You should be in our mastermind. There's no question that with what you already have put in place, that if we surround you by the people that are doing this, you're going to knock it out of the park, Jennifer, and you're going to be able to do it without a significant increase at all in what you're currently doing. I promise that's the case. So there's my hard sell for you. But to answer your question, if you're talking, the answer is different if we're talking about signing up a brand new student who doesn't really know you from Adam yet, and if we're signing up somebody who's already been training with you for a year or more than that into another additional higher level program. So the indoctrination on those two things is a little bit different. For us, a big piece of it on the front end, if it's a new student, remember, part of what we're trying to do is we're trying to make sure that this person sees us as an authority. We're trying to make sure they're conversational and friendly. Those are the things that we want to make sure that they understand this is the culture of our studio and this is how it's going to be when we bring them in. We don't have a ton of text for them to read before they come in, but we do want to, if we can, have a video that they watch that helps to overcome any potential objections during the enrollment process, and B, demonstrate that value and authority, mostly by focusing on our higher level messaging. And it's not a long video, it's a little 2.5-minute video that's fairly easy to put together. But generally, we need you to have made enrollment offers to lots of people before we can tell you what to put in the video. You already have, so you're ready to do this. But if you look back the last, let's say, 30 enrollment conferences that you did, what are the objections that do consistently come up? And then how do we overcome those objections in this little video? And we have everybody watch that video as they're going through the prospect pipeline, rather than after they're enrolled, here's this stuff to watch, right? That's a different strategy. So before they even come in for their intro, they're watching this little video that sets us up as authority, focuses on higher level messaging, and overcomes the objections. Let me give you an example of one that we do. My aerial silks class, there's 5 or 6 other studios in my city around me that also teach aerial silks. And those guys all let everybody come in and do drop-ins and buy punch cards. I don't. It's a 12-month commitment. It's a $299 down payment. It's $189 a month right now for that, if you make that big of a down payment. That's my agreement. That's my deal. So we were having people come in for this intro. It's a paid intro. And then during the enrollment conference years ago, everybody was like, oh, you mean I can't do punch cards and drop-ins? And we still signed a bunch of them up, but we wanted to overcome that objection before they came in. And so we put together a video that talks about the aerial silks class and all the benefits. And one of the benefits is that we're different than everybody else. Fundamental students are expected to do 2 classes a week. And the reason for that is because that's how we develop the strength and flexibility necessary to not only progress, but to make sure that everybody stays safe. Boom. We said that in this video. It was one little section of this video. Nobody ever brings it up anymore, because everybody watches that video before they come in for an intro.
Right.
And so that kind of thing it's the nice thing about that work is that you do it once. It's only a couple minutes long. And then, and then you just put it in part of your prospect pipeline, and then everybody watches it and they're all kind of indoctrinated on the front end. So that's a big piece of what I would do if I were you on that front end.
Yeah. It just, apparently it works, really, really well. So that's why I was wondering, how, I guess my question was how well does it work, but there's the proof in the pudding right there.
So I'll tell you how well it works. And I'll do this by showing people who are on the call who have already put in place, for example, the mass upgrade and are doing down payments at the mass upgrade. How many of you are able to do 80% of your student base, at least a minimum of 80% of your student base on the mass upgrade? How many of you are able to upgrade at least 80% of those people during your mass upgrade event? So Denise is able to do that. I don't know how many other folks we have on the call that are already doing that. Brooke's able to do that. And that's just during the mass upgrade event itself. Like these people are doing this consistently. If we could take 80% of your student base and in the next week, they all make new down payments and they all are now enrolled in higher level, more expensive classes, how much of a difference would that make in your studio? That's what we're shooting for. We're shooting for 80% of the students that we enroll every year, including the older students that have been around, moving through the mass upgrade. And yeah, that's kind of our minimum standard. It is possible. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh yeah, we did that last year and it wasn't that high. That's really awesome. 80%,
Yep.
That's great. This year we're actually gearing up to do it next week and we're hoping to be at that 80%. So we'll see.
Denise and Brooke, did you guys beat 80% this year? Did either of you do more than 80% of your students upgrading? Denise, go ahead.
Don't know yet. We're halfway through.
Okay, how's it going so far?
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Even with the new indoctrination into the yearly down payment, still awesome.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you.
Cool.
Thank you. Sherry asking here, are you saying to have an indoctrination video at upgrade? I don't think that's a problem, Sherry, but my point was that usually on the front end, you have more objections that you need to overcome preemptively than you do once people know, like, and trust you. So there's your answer. Okay, Brooke
Thank you.
Brooke has partnered a mass upgrade event with her picture day. She's typing in the chat here that working on, so the people who didn't come in for picture day for one reason or another, she's now upgrading all of those guys. But picture day, everybody's at picture day. So she's got a majority of them already. Cool. Great question though. Good stuff. Sherry, I would be less concerned with what I know about you. So this might not be the advice that I give to everybody, but Sherry, I just know enough about your program now that having an indoctrination video at your upgrade event, yeah, sure, man, that's awesome. If you have time and brain space to do that, great. If not, then do what we talked about earlier. You have the transfer of authority with that form. They tell the student what to do. The student goes to the front desk and they're just going to do it. So that's what I would focus on if I were you, Sherry. Let's get through that. And then if you come up with specific issues where it's like, hey, this weird objection came up when I said this weird thing to everybody. Okay, cool. Then we'll create a video that overcomes that next time. Another question that we could ask everybody that's already implemented a bunch of this stuff is, how many of you did better the second time around than you did the first time around? I think just about everybody does. They're learning stuff from that first time around. Cool. Awesome, man. Guys, these are some really good questions. You guys understand this stuff, man. It's just, I don't want to make anybody who doesn't understand this stuff feel like they're not allowed to ask any questions. Holy cow, you guys have a depth of understanding of this industry and what works well. There's so much deeper than 90% of the world out there. I'm just tickled, man. That's great. Courtney, please go ahead. I saw you had a question there. Are you able to unmute yourself?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, please go ahead.
So I took over my home studio.
Yeah.
The failing business, and
wow, you're really brave. We should make a YouTube channel about you.
Yeah, but we 54% in under 2 years.
Oh wow.
I'm still working on the model that she had in place, which is a 10-month system.
Okay.
How do I convert from 10 months to 12 months?
Awesome. What do you guys do over the summer right now without changing anything? What is it you're doing?
We just have like a summer program. It's a 6-week thing.
Okay. And do you like that?
It's okay.
How many people, number of students wise, how many of them don't do that over the summer?
This is only my second year, so I'm not sure. It looks like we're growing in that area right now.
Okay. Well, let's just take this year. Are you already starting your summer programs? Did you already have your recital?
No, recital's June 17th.
Okay. So you kind of don't know yet. That's fair. I would pay attention to that number. I mean, here, you probably have figured this out just by context already, but it is not uncommon for studios to lose 75 to 80% of their enrollments over the summertime. And part of the reason for that is because they put themselves in this really, really difficult position where really what they're doing is they're running two businesses. They're running a dance studio 10 months out of the year, and they're running a summer camp 2 months out of the year or 6 weeks out of the year during the summer. And when you run two businesses, that's totally fine to do. It's absolutely fine to do. I run more than two businesses myself. But you have to understand that they need their own marketing and sales strategies if you're going to do it that way. So your summer program needs its own marketing, enrollment, sales, retention, all of that, just like your 10-month program has. I think that it's more work than you need to do, because what we've been able to successfully do is just take whatever you're doing during the summer and whatever you're doing during the year, and now that's the Courtney 360 program, and you sell them the Courtney 360 program. And so you could still continue doing what you're doing. And when you enroll new students, it's like, yeah, here's how the program works. For 10 months out of the year, we do this. And then for 6 weeks during the summertime, we do this. That program is this much. We'll divide that up into payments for you. Or you can pay it in full. You know, you kind of have that presentation. We call it the enrollment conference. And most people are going to put a down payment down and then finance out the rest. And it's not, they're not paying for the classes. You know, I took 6 classes this month and therefore I pay. That's not what it is. They're just buying this program and that's what's included in the program.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so that way you're not going to drop as much. If you implement something like that, your enrollment over the summer will drop 15%. And we're capable of replacing that 15% within 30 days of all those students quitting, within 30 days, if you do it the right way.
Okay.
We'll just get new folks in. Now, that's one way to do it. That's probably, with where you're at, the easiest one for you to wrap your brain around, because the way we do a lot of other stuff is weird. But if I were you, what I would do, your fundamentals classes, your beginner level classes, if there's any way for you to run those over the summer, just like keep them on the schedule and just keep running them.
Mhm.
We're absolutely going to just get students enrolled and into those classes 12 months out of the year. And so if that's the first step you can take, if you can do that, that is a significantly more profitable and easier way to retain students, because you're not selling them 2 things. You're selling them one thing. It's a 12-month program. New students come in, they just get indoctrinated into that system. And then as they move into level 2 or whatever, if you want to have summer intensives or the summer, whatever, it doesn't matter. You can add that to your program. But those front end guys, those fundamentals beginners, my opinion is that's the easiest way to do it, is just keep that schedule going. And let's keep that marketing going. And we're going to enroll a boatload of students over the summer if you do.
Okay, awesome.
Is that helpful?
It is definitely helpful.
I feel a little bit like I dump trucked a lot of info on you. So
Don't worry, that's the best way.
let me know if you have additional questions. Feel free to reach out to me online or something. I'm happy to kind of walk you through more of that. But I promise it's going to work. All of these guys get work. Courtney, where's your studio located?
We're in Pennsylvania, north of Philly.
Yeah, you're going to kill it, man. It's totally fine. If you're not in super rural area, you're fairly populated.
Suburbia for sure.
Totally going to work. No question. Yeah.
Oh, awesome. Thank you.
People are looking for that. You got it. Good job. Yep. Cool. Fantastic. Denise, thanks for the shout out about the mastermind in the chat. I really appreciate you guys. I hope that we're life changing. We're not interested in working with everybody. We're interested in helping folks that we think we can help. Frankly, if you're showing up to this kind of stuff and learning from it, there's a good chance what we have will help. So thanks, Denise, for that shout out there. Other questions anybody has? Happy to answer those questions. Help out any way that we can. If not, I have a couple of announcements really quickly. There's a couple of things going on. We have our next live event as of this recording is here in Colorado, July 7th through 9th. Make sure that you've got that on your calendar and that you're talking to Nicole or I. Probably better you tell Nicole. She's just more responsible than I am. How many people you're bringing to that? We do need final counts in as soon as we can get those in. We're reserving some tickets for some fun things we're doing and a little bit of an adventure we're going to take everybody on this time. We just kind of need a final count on that sooner than later. So if you guys can let us know how many people are coming with you and planning on attending that part of it, we'd love to know that sooner than later if you can get us that information. Those of you that are going through the space sharing kind of training, that is not open to everybody. We are running some specific folks through that I think that are kind of ready for that piece. But the goal of that piece is to offset the cost of your facility by sharing your space during times that you don't want to use your space anyway. Not this Friday, but next Friday, we have another call. I'm meeting with Brett and Evan, and we're making some big changes to some of the software this week. We have all 3 days. We're spending the weekend just kind of camping out and hunkering down and making some changes to some of the software. Next Friday, we'll have that call. It'll be at the same time as this call and the rest of the calls that we usually do. So if you just want to kind of pencil that into your calendar, if you're in that training, you're welcome to attend that call. And we'd love to have you on that particular Friday. I've got some new stuff to share with you, some things that I'm doing that I'll show you, and we're pretty excited about that. Okay. Anybody else that's looking for more information, would like to hear more about how our programs work and how we may be able to kind of handhold you through some of this stuff, please reach out. I'm pretty easy to find on social media. We're not trying to hard sell anybody into anything. We'll let you know what we think we can do, and we'd love to work with you. Please just reach out and I'll help you set up a time where we can dive a little deeper into what you're doing and see if we can help you out with that. I think it's important, folks, that we run profitable studios. I think it's important that we don't just run these studios as sort of testaments to our own prowess and how great we are. We need to be able to share that sunshine, and what you guys have and what you guys are doing is the solution to many of the problems in the world right now. It is our responsibility to double down on not letting folks in our community slip through our fingers. We need to have more influence right now, not less influence right now. Please don't chicken out. Please push it hard. And let's go grow our programs and make the world a better place. Okay. Thanks everybody for being here. I'm proud of you, proud to hang out with you. Great questions today. And we'll talk to you on the next one. See ya.